I suppose everybody's shop situation is going to be completely unique, and for that reason we're all going to solve our problems, for lack of a better term, in different ways, just with respect to layout or how we fit the tools that we need to accomplish our respective tasks into our shop. And for this reason, I think that the way that I've engineered this planer thing is somewhat unique and specific to my circumstances, but that doesn't mean that I necessarily recommend it to you. In many ways, I'm going to show you what you ought not to do when you're making a planer setup. Now, there are many, many better ways out there, and so I don't even recommend what I did here. But nevertheless, it's kind of interesting, and the underlying premise was reduce it so that I can have the smallest possible footprint, because I have a very small space that I'm putting it in. And I guess we have a 2 by 2 by 2 area taken up by this thing, so 8 cubic feet, that's acceptable for what this thing does. I guess in a small garage shop like mine, my most valuable commodity is space. So 8 cubic feet, yeah, that's about all I'll let this have. I expect to get asked the question, do I recommend this one, this model? No. There's nothing particularly special about it. It's just a tool. It's just a planer. And it's much like every tool, it's riddled with design flaws, and you'll have to find ways to cope with those. The first one that I don't know what they were thinking was the knob. It has to be replaced. The knob was just awful. It jutted out probably to here. It was just awful. So the first thing that you should do when you get this planer, what is it, the 575 or 375, I don't remember, I don't care, is the first thing that you should do is replace this. Now it's on casters. Yeah, they're those lovely gray rubber ones. Spared no expense. They're very smooth. This thing is a beast. It's heavy. I think it's 90 some pounds, 92 pounds or something. It's just enough that I can certainly move it by myself, but I sure don't like to. It's bad for the back. Well, casters are nice to have it to move around on this cart, but it is, well, awful to have it stuck to the ground. And I would much rather prefer to have made one of those carts like John Heiss made, where it's up off of the ground, and then there's a melamine laminate table that goes all the way across, because of course buying an additional table extension is out of the question. I've already spent enough on this thing, and as it stands, it doesn't really, as much as I use it, it doesn't really justify the price I paid or the amount of space that it takes up very well. Anyhow, here's what I made, and it fits. You can see how it fits. And this is mandatory. Oh, I can't do this with one hand. You'll have to hold on. Having an outfeed table is mandatory. I mean, you might get away with it for a little while, but it's going to lock up. Yes, it's a pain, but it works. And it's picky. It's very picky. The fits were very well made, and it's still very finicky to keep it perfectly true and flat. And I would much rather have, as I mentioned, I think, a piece of laminate board that goes all the way through. And the reason why that would be preferred is because look how high this goes. There's no way. I think I've used it for something more than 4.5 inches, maybe once, maybe twice since I bought it. And that was because I had some fixture attached to it or something. The piece of material itself was not nearly that thick. So losing 3/4 of an inch would be perfectly acceptable. Now, these little handles here are from, I think they were attached to a door, an interior door or something. Sometimes they put these temporary, yeah, that's definitely from a door. What is the point? Well, other than tugging it around, watch. Now I try to be somewhat systematic when I do this. Now I have to move to the other side. But I still want you to understand that it is unpleasant to do this. But that's the price that you pay for getting it to fit in such a small spot. Now the blower on this machine is simply incredible. I mean, it's almost enough. It makes me laugh actually when I see it in operation. This thing is loud and obnoxious, and it will blow sawdust everywhere. There will be planer chips 20 feet away if you don't use some type of or chip collection. And that's another one of the problems with this machine. So this thing normally goes here, and then of course it also comes with a hose adapter, which I don't use. But I'll show you what, I'm going to try something new this time, and since this is my second channel, I can work on some untested theory. Now this is just an old pillowcase, and these are those springy paper clips, whatever they're called. I don't know if you know what they're called. Leave comments. What do you think? My prediction? I think it's going to work. Hey, at least it's going to work better than having to sweep the floor. But we'll see. Oh yeah. This should be entertaining at bare minimum. Well, test results, probably about what I expected. With respect to mess to clean up, oh my goodness, is that an improvement. Now, with respect to airborne particulates, well, it's better than it normally is, but there's still some room for improvement. All things considered, even in a confined space like this, that's not bad. Now, believe it or not, you've just finished watching part 2 of 3 of this project, which is what I'm really working on. Yeah, I know, I'm very long-winded, right? More wind than that planer. Well, I think this was a success.